Hi there, welcome to Terraland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Cancer Energy. And like usual on this channel, we're going to do two rows. The top row I refer to as high vibe Cancer Energy. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy energy, Cancer Energy. We've all got our dualistic nature. We have our more worldly nature, which can be our fear, our insecurity, our pride, our ego, our lust, our greed, lazy, self-indulgent nature. And the bottom row can just represent we want to stay in our comfort zone. Because in order to move forward in life a little differently, we have to step out of our comfort zone and we got to work through the fears and the insecurities and all that stuff about moving forward a little differently. And we've got to look at life a little differently because the truth sets us free. And sometimes we don't want to deal with those truths. And everybody deals with this. Everybody in their Cancer energy, because, everybody taps into Cancer energy. Is this aligned with my truth? I can love things. I can love people. Do they love me? I can have love for them, but am I in love with them? The bottom row can represent that some people are more aligned with their more worldly nature. It is more about being caught up in the things of the world. And again, it could be codependency and things like that. Do I love myself enough to go get in jobs, friendships, and relationships with people who really love and encourage me to believe in myself? Or do I stay in my comfort zone, but I don't feel like some of those, I'll have those types of relationships. So anyway, we're probably going to cover the whole situation in this story. But you either kind of keep holding on to your dreams and offer truth and love to people. Love is to be just and fair and work with people who love and encourage you and treat you in a just and fair way. Or you can give up your dreams of love and you can stay in jobs, friendships, and relationships where it can seem in shadowy Cancer energy that people are either using your loving nature to try to manipulate you, and you feel like they're maybe kind of not really being just and fair or authentic, or vice versa. So, as we read the story, listen to your intuition about the different people in your life who seems to be more authentic, operating with you from love, motivated by love, and who might want to be in friendship or relationship or have you stay at that job, but yet they think you should kind of indulge them in kind of some shadowy ways of being. And, it's nice to be in, if you feel like you're treating other people in a just and fair and authentic and loving way and encouraging and supportive, you'd like to be in relationships with other people who are like that. So, interesting. The reason for both of the readings coming out is the Five of Wands and the Five of Pentacles, and fives can talk about change. In the Five of Pentacles, it can talk about maybe being a little bit more where people had been operating and influenced more by their worldly nature or their fear or their lack mentality. Like, I don't love and believe in myself. I'm afraid my dreams won't come into reality. Feel like you maybe don't have enough resources. And then in the Five of Wands, it can talk about how your foundation of self gets inspired to, take some more creative, inspired action in your life. Look at life a little differently. And, the people who do that work through their lack mentality. The Five of Pentacles can talk about feeling left out in the cold. Why do I keep staying in situations where I feel like it's maybe not very abundant emotionally? The Five of Pentacles and Taurus energy can mean it does have a lot of these things of the world, but that's what it has. It could lack that creative, inspired action more from love. Just like you can have a job that does pay well or doesn't pay well, but you could be fearful of taking more inspired action in your life. And you could stay in situations that by worldly standards look really good, but you feel it's lacking being inspired by love. So let's look at the bottom row first. We have the Hangman and the Hermit. Then we have the Ten of Pentacles. Then we have the Fool not showing itself, which the Fool, like the Five of Wands, is fire sign energy. And it also is, I guess, Aquarius and Pisces energy that kind of has to do with our dreams and things that we hope for. And then we have the Knight of Swords and the King of Cups. So if this isn't showing itself, we have no fire in the bottom row. So it can all seem practical and logical, and there can be love there, but it could be more of, again, being more influenced by the world. This seems practical and logical, and these people in the Ten of Pentacles, they could be long-term friends, they could be in my family, it could be a workplace, but it's kind of lacking that fire and inspiration. Now, the difference between how different people would handle this is high vibe people would offer truth and love to people in their life with the Knight of Swords and the King of Cups, and I view the King of Cups as Cancer energy. They could offer love and encouragement to the people in their life to, look at. The Hermit can talk about looking at those things that keep us stuck in the Hangman. If we were to do the Hangman, both the Hermit and the Ten of Pentacles is Virgo energy, which Virgo energy in high vibe talks about going within to look at those things that keep us stuck. And the things that can keep us stuck is we have this one way of viewing life, this way of viewing the world, way of viewing ourselves, way of viewing others. And it talks about if we were to expand our perception of ourselves and the world around us and kind of look at life a little differently, and if we'd kind of be willing to do some self-reflection kind of about, do we need to expand our perception of ourselves and the world around us and what we believe is possible? We could have had this way of viewing relationships and what our life was going to look like and how we were going to move forward in life at one point in time in our life. Like, no, it has to look like this. We should keep moving forward like this, which is kind of maybe aligned with your more worldly view of life. That this is good for my ego and my image and my stability and my security. But are we really moving forward in a way that inspires us to live our more authentic life and be more independent of the world? Because high vibe energy is about being more independent. I don't want to be manipulated by my fear, my insecurity, my pride, and my ego, or my immature nature, or my prideful nature. I don't want to be manipulated more by the world. I don't want to be more manipulated by other people. Everybody has their own dreams of life and how they envision life and how they think life should go and things they like to invest their time, energy, and effort into. But my truth isn't their truth isn't my truth. I am my own individual, and I have my own dreams and my own aspirations and things that I like to go do. Does everybody have to be on the same page in a way in that regard? No. But we respect each other as individuals. Oh, you like going and doing that every Friday and Saturday? Cool. Yeah, I like doing this every Friday and Saturday or whatever, or Tuesdays or Thursdays. And I kind of enjoy these things. Oh, and you kind of enjoy those things. Okay. But we respect each other as individuals, and shadowy energy can be where people don't like that. Sometimes some people are like, no, this is the way we live our life, and this is how you should live your life. And you should view life the way I view it, and you should do life the way I do it. And if I'm more caught up in the world and acting like this and behaving like this because I let the world or my pride or my ego or my fear or whatever, my lust or my greed or my self-indulgent nature run my life, you should do that too, because we all do what we think is just and fair and what we think will make us happy. But shadowy energy is kind of where some people can be kind of stubborn, refuse to look at life from any other perspective, The Five of Pentacles and Taurus energy can talk about this way of viewing life and living life, this philosophy of life, which anyone in their Taurus energy, up here we also have Taurus, it just depends on what your truth is and how you view life. But shadowy energy can be oppressive and limiting and restrictive and confining and oppressive, and ultimately it can kind of feel oppressive and imprisoning. So up here we have the Nine of Wands and we have the Hangman. So we all could feel a little stuck and a little defensive of believing in ourselves and believing in our dreams. The Six of Swords is Aquarius energy, which also is represented by the Star card and having these hopes and dreams. And maybe some things didn't work out the way we wanted, because this is also the reason for the reading, for the bottom row, that we could have all felt left out in the cold. We can all get in friendships and relationships and go get a new job because something else didn't work out. And we can all have some inner conflict, which is the reason for the top row's reading, because from the 5 to the 9, we had to take back the Four of Wands. There was some foundation with people that we were operating and hanging out with, and it didn't move forward the way we thought it was going to move forward. So some of those people, we either chose not to hang out with them anymore, or they chose not to hang out with us anymore. So we kind of had to take back the Four of Wands. And we can all have some inner conflict, and the Nine of Wands can talk about feeling wounded. We can all, in our shadowy nature, kind of feel a little left out in the cold. That's normal. But then, and there's a part of us that can feel stuck, because, again, the Hangman being Pisces energy, we had a dream, kind of like Aquarius energy. We had a dream that we thought we were on the same page with people, that we kind of wanted to move forward, that we had the same truth. The Six of Swords moves away from the Five of Swords, which can be that we took action in something. We had a new beginning, we thought, and we could have been for quite a long time on the same page, right? But then someone could have been hiding a truth that instead of harnessing to transition out, Virgo comes after Taurus, and Virgo's fixed sign energy, and Virgo is mutable sign energy, and it helps us transition out of things, but we have to be willing to work through the truth of something, right? And some people could have been hiding that I have inner conflict, I feel wounded, I feel stuck, I feel kind of defensive, I feel kind of wounded. But they could be hiding that they still haven't worked through how they could still be kind of in their ego about it. But they might want to move forward in a new relationship anyway. Well, then they'd kind of be moving forward in something new when they still have all this inner conflict and stuff that they haven't worked through, right? Well, then, as they move forward in a relationship, here we have the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Cups, which can be these new beginnings. Then they can start to really feel overwhelmed, because the truth sets us free. To go from, here we have the Five of Pentacles, there we have the Six of Pentacles. In order to really more authentically move forward, we have to have worked through some of these issues to come to a place of peace about them. Otherwise, it's kind of like we're trying to really move away from something, but we really haven't worked through some of those past issues. And so they're trying to move forward maybe with other people who did feel that same way as they did, at one point in time. But those people kind of did the shadow work of, why didn't that relationship work out? How, I have to take accountability for myself. Where was I kind of defensive? Where was I, you know, had to heal and grow and mature myself? What about the people I was in relationship with? Did we view life differently? Did we have different dreams and aspirations? Did we have a different truth of kind of what drove and motivated us in the world? And some of the other people work through those issues, and they know there's certain ways of being and viewing life and living life that they don't want to go repeat that old pattern. I had a way of living life and viewing life and behaving or whatever. Um, and I don't want to repeat that pattern. So, in order not to repeat that pattern, I need to deal with the truth. And sometimes that's the difference between people when a card isn't showing itself, is that you can move forward with people in relationships. We've all got our more hopeful, believing nature, but we've all got our more shadowy nature, which can again be more about being like about ourselves or our fears or insecurities or things like that. And we could each think, the high vibe people could think, oh well, they're going to work through those issues within themselves because that's kind of what they do, and they think other people do that. Oh well, periodically as you move forward, you kind of work through those issues from your past so that the tens can talk about detach from that and close out a cycle and have this new beginning and move forward in life a little differently. But sometimes we kind of get in a more mismatched relationship where someone's trying to move forward in life differently, trying to close out and detach from maybe an old way of being, but they really haven't worked through how those things kind of manipulate them still. And it can be, I'll just put in all this work and effort to try to make this work, but it's kind of not really their truth. They still have a way of living life or viewing life, or that this new way isn't really their truth. um, and they haven't done some of that work. And so then they can feel really overwhelmed. It's just like someone getting in a job where this other job didn't work out, and I'll try to go move forward with this other job, but maybe I really did like that old job, or um, I kind of didn't have the skills at the last job. It didn't work out. Now I'm applying for another similar job, and it's like a job that's kind of a little bit over my pay grade, right? And the same thing happens again. And until they're willing to kind of work out that, do I try to move forward in jobs, friendships, and relationships with people who could be the bottom row, can represent being a little tipped out of balance, and the sixes can talk about being more balanced. You know, am I um not as balanced within myself? So, when you're more balanced within yourself, you're able to temper your fears and your insecurities and your defensiveness and your lack mentality, because you offer yourself encouragement and love to work through those so that you can keep working together with people in a more just and fair and balanced way. And if some people are still kind of tipped out of balance, where they could be hiding that, well, I have some defensive issues I haven't worked through. Um, Shadowy Hangman could be, maybe I am a little prideful and stubborn, or I think I should kind of be indulged in a relationship. Well, if they haven't wanted to see the truth, that they are kind of defensive, or they are kind of prideful, or have these illusions about what it means to be in relationships, or they have a lack mentality and just don't feel like they're good enough or something, and they haven't learned how to offer themselves love and encouragement and do some of that inner work within themselves to you know, to work through those issues, the Five of Wands comes after the Four of Wands, and the Four of Wands can talk about our foundation of self. Are we inspired to do that work within ourselves to love ourselves? We have the free will. The Knight of Swords is Gemini energy about our dualistic nature. We can stay in more shadowy energy. We can be more about ourselves. We can be more stubborn. We can be more defensive. We can be more prideful. We can belittle and berate ourselves. We can make our worth and value more about what we look like or what we wear or how much money we have. And that can be how we define our worth and value. Or we have the free will to, in our philosophy of life, to love ourselves and align with our more hopeful, believing, loving nature and offer ourselves love and encouragement. And then the Nine of Wands in Sagittarius energies about higher learning and education that, I'm going to distance myself with using truth and love and looking back at my past life experience and all these different people I've met and how they view life and how they live life and what's important to them, and how when I was in a relationship with them, I kind of got maybe a little more clear about my truth and what I think is just and fair, and kind of more what drives and motivates me versus some of those people in my life. And some of the people I wanted to move forward with in life didn't want to move forward with me. Well, I can either stay stuck back here and defensive, or I can just deal with the truth of it that, maybe at one time we did get along really well, and then maybe we didn't, and people change over time. And sometimes people come into our life for a time period, and then, we can be loving and encouraging and supportive to each other. But then when we're kind of ready to move forward in the next phase of life, we kind of realize our truth is different. And I want to go this way, you want to go that way. I'm motivated by this, you're motivated by that. And then we're not on the same page. It's just kind of like different emotional maturity levels and ways of viewing life. And kind of, you could view some of those people as more immature and stubborn and prideful. They could view you that way. It's like high vibe people, I think the best advice would be to speak your truth in love, to be just and fair, stand up for your truth, stand up for yourself, stand up for your dreams in love. You can offer people love and encouragement, but if that's not their truth or that's not where they're at right now, that's not where they're at. And other people in your life are moving forward with you in this way. And there's other people in the world moving forward in that way that you don't even know. And there can be other people in the world that, they could have made the free will decision. I have the free will to either be defensive and operate from my more egoic nature, and that's my truth. I might hide from the world that that's my truth, and I'll try to move forward with people, trying to present myself that I'm more motivated and inspired by love. And that's where the King of Cups can be, where people are kind of wearing a false mask. That I'm not more bold and brave and confident or inspired by love, because I've maybe been wounded before and I haven't worked through that. And it still manipulates me and how I view life and how I choose to, what I think is a good idea in my life. And then they could try to move forward with people that have worked through some of that past pain and heartbreak. They are ready to have more balanced, inspired by love relationships. And the other person's trying to do that with them, but it's kind of really not their truth. And it's kind of like they can't, in a way, it's kind of like they're faking the level that they're at because that's not their truth. And how do they fake the next level? You know, that's really going to cause a lot of problems because it was probably hard enough to fake being more stable, grounded, less defensive, less stubborn. Some people could have been hiding the truth that I am more about me and myself or my ego and my image and money and materialism. And I'm not inspired to change and I'm not inspired by love, but part of them looking maybe victorious and successful in the world is to get in a relationship with someone who seems like a loving person, right? That's like you, and I think sometimes shadowy people, their idea of the dream relationship is I want to be immature or defensive or bossy or controlling or just more materialistically or worldly focused. And I want to get in a relationship with someone who's loving and encouraging because we all like to be in that environment, right? I don't want you to be like me. I don't want you to be bossy or immature or egotistical or, I want you to be a loving, nurturing person who kind of is defensive of believing in yourself and believing in your dreams. And you'll get in a relationship with me and offer me love. And you'll put a lot of work and effort to try to maintain balance in this relationship, even though you're moving forward with someone. The Five of Wands can mean that you're in a relationship with someone who's aligned basically with the competition. Their truth and the foundation they operate from is different than your truth and the foundation you operate from. And when you get, for them, they kind of have inner conflict with it too, because it just depends on if a more shadowy person, whatever that is, I'm more stubborn, I'm more prideful, I like it to be more about me, I'm more about the ego or the image or the money. When they move forward with someone who they're trying to kind of create the illusion, my truth is your truth. So they're trying to maintain more balance within themselves when that they're really like to maybe even be more tipped out of balance. Like, damn, I like it when it's more about me. Damn, I like it when I can be more immature, self-indulgent, or defensive. But in order to get this person to keep moving forward with me, I kind of have to put in all this work and effort to try to present myself as more like I've learned some lessons in life and that I'm not more bossy or controlling or prideful or egotistical or self indulgent or like to be more defensive, because otherwise they won't keep moving forward with me in a relationship. And there's some shadowy people right now that are in a mismatched relationship and really trying to get a high vibe person that they're in a relationship with to have a new beginning with them so that then they look like they've healed, they've moved on, they've had this new beginning. And then once they get them in the relationship, they could think, maybe as time goes by, I mean, this is quite shadowy if people really were to think like this, but some people do live more from their mind than their heart, and it is all strategy, like playing chess with people. It's just that the people in their life are the pawns that they are willing to sacrifice. That if they move forward in a relationship and it gets to the point in the relationship where they think, I think that if I were to act more stubborn and prideful and defensive, I think this person would wonder, like, why am I acting like that? But they wouldn't give up on the relationship. They'd want to and they'd keep putting in work and effort to make it work out. And then if I see that they're kind of not willing to close out a cycle with me and become independent of me and detach from me, well, then maybe I do think that I can be a little bit more defensive and shadowy because I have someone who loves me, who is willing to move forward with me, and now I can be my bossy, my competitive, my defensive, my prideful, my stubborn way. They might be overwhelmed, but I don't care. It's really more about me. And this is how I want to move forward. This is my truth. And unless the high vibe people in their life are willing to deal with the truth of it and see our truth is different, I don't want to keep putting in this work and effort to make this friendship, job, or relationship work. And what you didn't know about me is I am inspired in my fire sign energy of myself to also stand up for what I believe in. And I'm not going to keep moving forward with people who want me to keep moving forward with them when we seem to be inspired to take action in this relationship from a different truth and philosophy of life. And that's when some of those people do and they move away. Is it hard? Yes, because they actually love those people. But they know love is supposed to be just and fair. High vibe Taurus energy, which Taurus energy can talk about all these institutions of the world, workplaces, friendships, family dynamics, relationships, marriages. Love is supposed to be just and fair, and apparently that is not your truth. You have not learned that lesson yet. I think you are defensive to love. You wear a false mask. You hide that you are maybe get in relationships more for ego and image. You might look for people who you think are stuck, who haven't learned the truth about people like you, might have mental conflict within themselves about loving and believing in themselves and believing in their dreams. They think you will change. You know you won't change. They are willing to work cooperatively together and heal and grow and mature themselves in some ways as they need to. But ultimately, the shadowy people kind of aren't willing to. No, this is how I view life. I will create an illusion, that's shadowy Pisces energy. I will create an illusion that I've changed, that I've healed, that I've grown, that I'm more balanced, just and fair and stable and loving than I really am. But then later, eventually, the high vibe people see the truth. The shadowy people are hoping that because of the status or the ego or the image or whatever, that you won't love yourself enough to go through a period of feeling left out in the cold to detach from them and go look for a different friend, job, relationship. But eventually the loving people feel so left out in the cold, and some people could be experiencing that right now. And they've probably done some of this inner work trying to figure it out. Why does this person act like this? Why is this person maybe so defensive or so stubborn? Or, they gave, I kind of bought in to the illusion of who they were. But I don't think I was seeing the truth. And I think they might either have a lot of inner conflict, lack mentality, defensiveness, prideful issues, not really being authentic. People can act like love, quack like love, present themselves like loving family people, but is love what really drives and motivates them in their decision making? And why they get in relationships and why they want to be in relationships and why they want to keep moving forward in relationships. And some people realize that that's not their truth. And then the shadowy people get mad. Well, this looks good and this makes practical, logical sense and this works for me. We should keep moving forward in it. And the high vibe people are like, well, this doesn't work for me. I'm the one being inspired by love, putting in the work and effort to make it more balanced and inspired by love. And you're kind of offering your more false mask and your more worldly nature and things of the world. But it's not love that you're offering. And that's when some high vibe people leave, the other people get mad. They go try to find someone else who they think is defensive and stuck and might not believe in their dreams and hide that the reason they're getting in the relationship is more to be in a relationship for all those different reasons in the world. And that they don't like to take more bold, brave, confident action. Because in our fire sign energy, also, we're either more motivated and inspired to get in relationships and stay in relationships more for these worldly reasons, or we're more motivated and inspired to keep healing and growing and maturing ourselves, close out old cycles, old ways of living life and viewing life, to keep learning lessons in our life. That's how we kind of like grow to our full potential. To become more authentically ourselves, become independent of our ego nature, our defensive nature, our past pain and heartbreak. We work through our lack mentality and our competitive nature and our prideful nature and our be more caught up in ourself and indulging our more immature nature. And some people are, some people don't necessarily indulge in a lot of shadowy things, but they just have a more, this is why we should get in the relationship, this is why we should stay in the relationship. But it's kind of wearing a false mask. They're not really authentically motivated and inspired by love. And it could be, they could hide that because they think they maybe in the Ten of Pentacles look a certain way, have a certain status or image in the world, that there's going to be people who want to be in a relationship with them. They don't really have to do love. You can get hurt doing love. And in order to free yourself from your more, no, I'm going to be self-protective and self-defensive of myself, I'm not really going to do love, I get hurt doing love, then it can be that they're hiding that in their fire sign energy of themselves, they kind of more just sexually indulge themselves in a relationship. Isn't sex love? I don't really have to do love. And in a lot of ways, some of the people can seem like very stable, grounded, loving people. But they're, the high vibe people who get in a relationship with them kind of feel left out in the cold. It does have those things of the world, and it can have, but also the high vibe people are like, I don't want to stay stagnant. This might have a lot of things of the world, and you kind of don't realize that it's not really aligned with your truth, because eventually you realize they want to keep moving forward like this, in this way of living life or viewing life like forever, and they don't kind of heal and grow and get inspired out of love for themselves to ever step out of their comfort zone, to close out and become independent of old ways of viewing life or something, to move forward in life, be inspired to ever step out of their comfort zone. And other people are, it is, like my nesting dolls over there. You live your life like a 15-year-old, an 18-year-old, a 21-year-old, a 25. You keep healing and growing and maturing yourself, and you kind of periodically see, you have you want to feel more authentically yourself, like you're living your more authentic truth. And some people hide their more authentic truth. Well, no, I wear a false mask. I don't want, in high vibe Virgo and high vibe Leo, to see the truth and free myself from my more defensive egoic nature to be more authentically myself in the world. We should make our life about conforming to the world. Shadowy Taurus. I think this is just and fair. You should live your life like that. That's how I view life. And other people are like, I don't want to make my life more about conforming to the world. I want to work with these, look at the truth of these things that manipulate me so I can be more independent and more authentically myself in truth and love. I have no ill intent. I just want to work through things that manipulate me. And then you can find yourself in a relationship with people who never work through things that manipulate them. They don't want to see the truth. They don't want to see how things within them manipulate them, how the world manipulates them, how other people in their life manipulate them, to make their life more about conforming to the world, or never letting your more authentic nature out to play in the world, or living your more authentic life. being more independent, and other people are like, oh my god, I can't take this. I can love you if you have these shadowy ways of being. I can still, it can be brothers, sisters, parents, adult children, people you've known all your life. Can I still have love for you? Yes. Am I going to invest more time, energy, and effort into you? No. You go live your life. I'll go live my life. I'll see you at Christmas, or I'll see you out and about in the world. But I don't care to be around people who, shadowy energy can be people who, if they feel stuck, they want you to feel stuck. And so then they purposely can do things being defensive to taking action from love to make you feel left out and cold or conflicted so that you're in that energy with them. It's like, I don't choose to be in that energy. We have the free will every day to choose which thoughts and emotions we choose to sit in. It's not staying in denial of certain thoughts and emotions that we have, but I work through those issues. I am inspired to offer love to those issues so that the truth sets me free. Have I had people where I felt left out in the cold, that they did things that I thought were hurtful or unkind, or they were defensive or prideful or egotistical or wanted to go be in relationships with other people? Yes, and I dealt with the truth of it, and I accepted the truth of it. And I view high vibe Leo is where you offer yourself love. I'm going to give myself the things I wish other people would have given me. I can keep staying stuck in my pride and ego about everything that didn't work out, but life's not all about me. And everybody, I can only have my dreams come into reality with people who are on the same page as me. So I can stay stuck, or I say, you know what? I wish you all peace and love. And I'm going to do this work within myself. I'm not going to take foolish action more out of pride and ego and feeling left out in the cold. I am inspired to get balance within myself, to work through this. The only person I can change is me. If other people, whatever, if they're high vibe, worldly, shadowy, I can't change them. And if they're high vibe, I don't want to change them. I wish you peace. We weren't on the same page. You love someone else. Okay. you know, my dream can come into reality within them. And then there may be a good role model that inspires me about the type of people I do want to be in relationship with. High vibe people have changed. They're balanced within themselves. They are closing out old cycles. Why? Because they offered love to it, dealt with the truth of it, are investing in the people in their life and communicating their truth and love to people in their life. And then all those people in their Gemini energy of free will can either move forward with them or not. And can it be hard to maybe distance yourself from some people in your life? Yeah, but everybody's got to learn these lessons, and some people are going to go repeat some old patterns, because we'll all repeat old patterns over and over until we learn the lesson. And, if you did everything you could to try to help someone, they have to be inspired to want to change and look at life differently. And sometimes people are going to repeat some old patterns and are going to have to learn some lessons the hard way, just like the rest of us did. In the meantime, I wish you peace and love. Been there, done that. Hope you get out. Hope you make it out alive. In the meantime, I'm moving on, and I'm going to focus my time and attention on other people who are motivated and inspired to work together with me, who've worked through their shadowy nature to do truth and love, and inspired to heal and grow and mature themselves and work together with people in a more just and fair and balanced way. Just kind of like we got different philosophies of life right now. And I accept that. We're not always on the same page at the same time with people. Maybe at some point in time, we will be on the same page. And as you're moving forward, at times, it's really hard to close out a cycle. It's not easy because you really have to get to a place where I don't want to repeat that cycle. And there can be a lot of things that can, and people in your life and situations you confront that try to get you to repeat that old cycle. It's like, I've already been there and done that, and I've already seen the truth of that, that I don't like that. If I meet people, I'm going to offer people truth and love to move forward with me. If those people seem to be defensive to that for whatever reason, peace out. Okay. Thank you for showing me your truth. And I keep moving on. And I'm not going to get up in my head about it. And I'm not going to get my ego about it. I accept that people are where they're at. And I'm going to focus more of the time and attention on the things and the people in my life that do work together with me in a more balanced, inspired by love kind of way. And then as you're moving forward, other people could think, that they want to move forward with you. But again, you would get to know people before you have a new beginning with them to find out what their truth is. And you would communicate your truth about some of the lessons you've learned and why you quit certain habits or relationships or, and what your truth is and what you don't, you can just get to know people. But if the truth is you see, and the shadow could be you could see what people are trying to hide from you, I think, for one, you maybe haven't healed. You still might be stuck on some things. You might be hiding. You're more about wanting to basically be in a relationship for the wrong reasons. And though it could cause me inner conflict, it's like keeping some people maybe in the friend zone until they've worked through those issues and really have worked through it. And other people you'll move on from, because it's like you could view them as wanting to come towards you. People can look to people like other people look to people like to drugs and alcohol. I'm overwhelmed. You're the answer to my problems. You know, I want to look like I've moved on. I want to look like I'm over that person. I want to get out of my feeling conflicted. I want to kind of go indulge myself in a new relationship. It's like, sorry. If you want to be in that kind of relationship, you're going to have to go present your false mask to someone else, because I've already detached from that type of relationship dynamic. And then they'll have to go find someone else. And it might cause you a little conflict, because they could be someone that you could be attracted to, or that you like, or that you just have love for. But I'm not going to repeat that pattern. Okay, what's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Cancer energy that they might not see coming? The Knight of Wands and the Justice card. Why? Because of the Six of Cups. It's kind of like, I think there's rules to this game of life. There's consequences for our actions. I think this is saying that the justice system of like the divine is going to communicate with you that they see you have changed. You have reconciled yourself. In the Six of Cups, it can talk about that you reconciled yourself with some of these issues from your past, and you've made peace with it. You've accepted the truth of it. You see the truth of it, not an illusion about it. The people in my life who I know are more feel more comfortable wearing a false mask. Hey, teach your own. I want to be with people who really are authentically loving. People in my life who I know are defensive to love. People whose their truth is more about money and materialism. People who are more defensive, more egotistical, more self-centered, more immature. I accept the truth of it. And I accept the truth that while I had lessons to learn, other people that could have been people who at one point they were someone I could have aligned with, been friends with, dated, married, and I didn't. Or I got out of those kind of relationships with them because I had my own lessons to learn. Well, that is a consequence also, that when I learn some lessons and I'm moving forward in life differently, some of those people that I might communicate with, they're like, sorry, while you were off learning that lesson that I'd already learned, I'm in more just and fair and balanced relationships. And we accept the truth of that and we move forward. And I think you will get in those relationships of your own because you don't want to repeat that old pattern. And so I think accepting the truth that everybody is where they're at, I can only work with the people who are willing to work together with me. And I'm going to exchange resources and time and energy with people who are inspired to work together with me in high vibe Six of Cups, people I can have a deep, meaningful, authentic relationship with because they're balanced and they're just and they're fair. And I think as you move forward in that energy, the people in your life, you're going to have these creative, inspired, just, fair, balanced relationships that you already have. And you're going to meet more people because they see you're in that energy and they want to be in that energy also. They have the free will to go get in relationships with people that are a little more worldly or shadowy or whatever level of emotional maturity or enlightenment people could be at. And they want to be in relationship with you because they know they can have a deep, meaningful relationship with you. Is the Six of Cups of Scorpio energy versus a shadowy Scorpio relationship, which is more superficial and shallow. And they want the justice they deserve in the world. And they, in turn, have been illuminated to the truth that if they want to be in relationship with people who are like that, they need to be that type of person, not wearing a false mask. What's coming up for people who do harness a more worldly, shadowy Cancer energy that they don't see coming? Let's take this one, and the reason it came out is because of the Six of Cups and the Nine of Pentacles. When people are kind of shadowy, not really being authentic, and might have some of these other shadowy kind of traits and characteristics, there's always going to be more high vibrational people in their life that they've either known from childhood, that are in their family, but some of those people in the Nine of Pentacles are more independent. And they could have been wanting to be in relationship or friendship with these people, trying to offer them truth and love to work through some of these issues, to detach from some of these old ways of being so they can all move forward together. But if the shadowy people keep being defensive to that, no, that is not my truth. That is not how I want to move forward. I want to keep, this is my truth, and this is how I want to keep moving forward. Well, I think they're going to have some people in their life that are going to wish them peace. You do you, and we're kind of moving on. And they might not, because again, if people are kind of superficial or shallow, well, other people aren't. And other people don't want to be in a superficial, shallow relationship. And they can maybe not understand why. And they think this is just and fair. Why isn't this working for me? It's like, because they're not willing to deal with the truth. If other people are being authentic and loving, they want to be in a relationship with other people who are authentic and loving. They're like, but can't I just act like that? It has a different feel about it. If you're authentically being loving and giving and nurturing and supportive, encouraging to people, because that's authentically who you are versus a false mask that you wear. And what they don't see coming, the Page of Wands in reverse, that some people, the pages can be just that, even just small gestures and kind of knowing people, that some people aren't going to, and it can be messages and communication, but it also can be that if people want to have new beginnings with people, and there's some people in their life that, aren't communicating with them anymore, don't want to keep putting in work and effort. I've put in work and effort. You keep doing what you do, so you do that, and we're moving on. And, other people, again, the Six of Cups, people work through issues of their past so they can, in the Nine of Pentacles, which is also Virgo energy, they work through those things. They offer love to those things to get out of their ego about it, get out of their lack mentality about it, get out of their inner conflict about it, get out of their defensiveness about it. They come to a place of, not everybody wants to be my friend, not everybody who I like likes me, not everybody I want to date wants to date me. I could view myself a certain way, other people in the world don't view me that way. People could have completely misconstrue me. I don't have any control over that. I don't. Some people, it really bothers them. They really want people to view them a certain way. And if there's certain people in the world who don't view them that way, they feel rejected, and they're really trying to get some people in the world to view them a certain way. Why? Why not work with the people who do view you that way? Well, I'm loving. You should quit being so stubborn. You should change. How long are we going to stay in relationships where we keep trying to make other people change? And it can be, well, because I love them. Well, do you love them? Or is it just because you're afraid of believing in yourself and believing in your dreams? Is it because with that person, they're the one who needs to change? And if you get in a relationship with other people, it might require you to change, and do some of this inner work. Well, I don't want to change. That's why I like to get in relationships with people who might be kind of stubborn and defensive and wounded, because then they're the ones, I can be this loving, nurturing person in their life, but then the fact is they don't change. Then you're stuck and you feel like, well, but I love them. It's like, yeah, you got yourself emotionally invested in someone, hoping they would change, instead of being in relationships with people who would work with you cooperatively. But then you have to do this work within yourself to change, to become free of things that manipulate you. And that's where even high vibe people can repeat that pattern, because that can be a pattern. Well, I'm a loving, nurturing person to people who are more prideful or stubborn or wounded, and I try to get them to change. Well, those people have their own free will, and they don't have to change if they don't want to. And you probably knew when you got in the relationship with them that they had certain ways of living life or viewing life, and you thought they should change. But you have people you could be in a relationship with, but that then would require you to have more hope and faith and belief in yourself, and it might require you to heal and grow and change. So you can see where that can be in our ego when we want other people to change. And some people that have done this, I was like, that's it. I do deserve to be in relationships with people who treat me the way I treat them. And I am willing to change. I have probably, this whole life experience has changed me. And I'm no longer going to try to change people. I offer people truth and love. If that's what drives and motivates them, we work together. If it doesn't, I don't get up in my head about it. I wish them peace and I move on. And what the shadowy people don't see coming is that the more high vibe people in their life will move on. And the people who do want to keep staying in relationship with them might be other people who don't take more creative, inspired action in their life, who are just maybe in their fire sign energy of themselves more, either reject it. Nope, we don't ever step out of our comfort zone. This is the way my family lived in my life. This is how my friends live my life. This is how we're going to live our life. I don't take more creative, inspired action in my own life. We must conform to the world. Or, I'm not bold and brave enough to do love either. Let's be in a relationship, stay in the relationship because other people wanted us to be inspired by love, but we don't want to do love. And so then it's kind of being in a relationship to be in a relationship, or a friendship, or a job, because you have someone who's willing to stay in it with you. And sadly, for some shadowy people, can you imagine this? I want to be in a relationship with someone who I just don't think will ever leave. That would be somebody, I would say, who really lets their pride and ego run their life. And they would rather be in a relationship with someone who maybe they don't even like or love just because I'm so afraid. The Five of Pentacles can be people have abandonment wounds, or I so badly, in my ego, it would really bother me in my ego if somebody left me. It's like, well, I think even the people who are like, nope, the most important thing is to get in a relationship with someone who I don't think will ever leave, who I think is defensive and wounded, doesn't love and believe in themselves, that I think I will play a loving person in their life, hide that it's more about me and my ego and my image. The only problem is I think it's kind of like a parent-child dynamic, and children grow up and children want to be more independent, and I think that's what they'll find out is other people work through their issues to be more independent. They're no longer more codependent on them, and that can make them angry because they like a more codependent relationship. And people can get in a relationship with people for various reasons. But yeah, I think because they refuse to change, and shadowy Taurus, shadowy Hangman can be very stubborn and prideful, it can get harder and harder as people get older to find people who are willing to be in a more codependent relationship. And they don't like that. It's kind of like times have changed and they don't want to see that times have changed, and kind of in a way that they have a more antiquated view of relationships, and they might not be willing to see the truth. Even some of the people that they think, oh no, 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 that person, they just need to heal, they're still got some issues, they would be the perfect person for me to be in a relationship with. We can stay in denial of the truth that some of those people did move on, and those people, because some people could think, oh no, I know that person's more defensive, oh I know that person's more about the world, oh I know that person is more stubborn and prideful, they would be the perfect person for me to be in a relationship with because that's how I'm more about being defensive and more about the world. And they might not want to see the truth that some of the people in their life that they would like to work with, those people have moved on. Or that some of those people are more stubborn and prideful than they realize. And if they're not willing to, a shadowy relationship is where, which is like a shadowy Taurus relationship, where it is kind of a more codependent relationship. Some people want to be in a relationship with someone, but what they don't realize, that person is very stubborn and prideful, and they're looking for someone to indulge them in like their ego nature. And those two could be kind of having a battle within themselves and with each other. No, you have to defer to me. No, you have to defer to me. No, I'm supposed to be the boss. No, I'm supposed to be the boss. And it could be two people who really would kind of like to maybe even be in a relationship, but it's like, who's going to defer to who? And while they're kind of doing that in relationships, other people are becoming independent of them, and other people are loving themselves and moving on and not playing those games anymore. And it can all be about manipulation. Well, look, I got in a different relationship. Look, I'm moving forward with someone else. Doesn't that get you stuck in your pride and ego? Aren't you going to come towards me to get in a relationship with me? People who are loving don't try to manipulate you to get you to do things in a relationship. They offer you truth and love. But some people haven't learned that lesson yet. So there you go, Cancer. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.